Good morning. As the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed, yesterday was Severe ME Day. It's the international day that we recognise the most severely affected people with ME around the world. Now, although we are an education platform, we don't do advocacy. However, that is a significant date in the patient community calendar. So we're very happy to take part in it yesterday, and we posted a blog last week. So if you haven't seen that yet, I would encourage you to take a look. Because since I set up Stripey Lightbulb in 2018, I've had many conversations with disability organisations, with corporations, with philanthropists, with healthcare professionals, all of whom think that the people that present themselves in the office, in a learning environment, or in a clinic represent all ME C.F.S patients, and that's simply wrong. You have to understand that it's a spectrum disease. Those people that are able to work, usually part-time or with flexible working, and if they're still managing to push through full-time, trust me, when they are not in work, they are resting to be able to go back to work the next day or after the weekend. They are literally living to work, which is why they need support within a working environment. Those people are also at higher risk of deteriorating and not being able to work at all. And that's why they need support from their employer, because standard disability policies simply do not cover a fluctuating disease such as ME/CFS. And anyone that says that they do, I would beg to differ, and I would also sit down and speak to your ME/CFS and now long COVID affected members of staff to see if you are actually appropriately supporting them within the workplace. Because be in no doubt, before COVID-19 hit, lack of support, inadequate support within workplaces was a key problem for those patients who are mildly affected with ME/CFS and are still able to work. It's an issue that we're addressing with our education. Now, no employers have done our training, and yet literally during the pandemic, employers are miraculously saying that they've got experience of working with ME/CFS patients, so they know how to adequately support patients with long COVID. You haven't done our training, so where does this knowledge come from? Because it doesn't match the patient experience of pre-COVID-19 times. Just doesn't match it. So going back to what I was saying 2 seconds ago. So I've spoken to disability organisations, and they offer a hospice service. And I asked, have you ever had an ME/CFS patient under your duty of care? And they literally said to me, why would we? We've got members of staff with ME/CFS. They don't need a hospice service. ME/CFS is a spectrum disease. Mild, moderate, severe, very severe. Severe and very severe are house or bedbound. They would not be able to be in employment. You need to understand that spectrum. The reason ME/CFS patients who are physically able to work, physically able to study, physically able to go themselves to appointments in hospitals are at the milder, maybe moderate end of the scale of the spectrum. But if those patients are not receiving adequate support within healthcare, learning and business environments, the chances that they will deteriorate into a more severe level of disability is increased. Because they're, put it this way, when they are able to manage their own symptoms, they can self-manage. When they have an employer pushing them to stick to full-time hours, when they have an employer refusing to do reasonable adjustments or refusing to acknowledge that it's a disability, they are unable to self-manage their own disease. So just giving them the option of flexible working, able to study from home, teleconsult, that's one thing that the ME/CFS community has been very grateful for throughout the pandemic. It wasn't brought about because of chronic illness, it was brought about for healthy people who were no longer able to attend doctor's appointments because of the pandemic. But actually, the benefits for disabled people, including ME/C.F.S, are immeasurable. And we would ask that teleconsult continues for chronically sick and disabled people, because it's opened doors to opportunities to get that health check that you've had to put off for years because you cannot get to the clinic. Yet miraculously, because of the pandemic, doctors are using video and getting up close to moles, or using a scanner to check a mole or look at a rash or whatever. But so many chronically sick and disabled people haven't been able to get stuff checked out because teleconsult was simply not used by a heck of a lot of GPs. So that's why we took part in Severe ME Day, because although you will not have a severely affected or very severely affected patient in the classroom, in the workplace, or in a clinic, because you would have to do a home visit, you need to understand that that is the most severe form of the disease. And education, being educated about the spectrum and about the needs of those people on the lower end of the spectrum, you'll prevent more people from becoming severely disabled. ME naturally fluctuates anyway. For some people, the deterioration will happen regardless and irrespective of intervention and reasonable adjustments. However, you are giving them a better chance by allowing them to self-manage, and that's why they need your help. Now, we are fully aware as a business, our clients, our learners want to know what the benefits are to them. They don't think like us. I'm warm and fuzzy. I'm like, I will do anything for the ME/C.F.S patient community. However, as you will see when you do our training, there are benefits for you as a business, as a school or university, college, and as a healthcare clinic practice. Not only is it CPD accredited, so if you just want to top up some CPD points, there you go, why wouldn't you? Also, ME/C.F.S costs you money in forms of recruitment, retraining, attrition, advertising, roles. All of this kind of stuff can be reduced by knowing how to support a patient within your working environment. So if you're a healthcare clinic, you may well be getting complaints sent to the patient and liaison service, or to the CCG. Schools, your Ofcom, I've got Ofcom in my head, Ofsted report may well come back with questions about student welfare. We know it's an illegal practice, but we know in the UK, some, not all, some schools are off-rolling because you don't know how to deal with that student. If students are given adequate support, if they are allowed to study from home, if they're sent work home, they have the opportunity of meeting their potential. There's no need to write them off. Some schools are absolutely fantastic and they go above and beyond to keep that pupil in school, but there are some who don't. We need schools to recognise what small measures can be implemented to keep that student in school. If you're a university, I was told this, why don't you defer for a year and come back? I knew in my heart I would not be going back. So I kept going, but I did work from home. I was very lucky that my university supported me, but a lot of students aren't supported. So you need to know about severe ME because that could be the end result of your lack of support. And you also have to be aware that when a member of staff becomes chronically sick with ME/C.F.S, if they lose their job, they will struggle for months and sometimes years to get disability benefit. So by you not doing reasonable adjustments and by you not supporting a member of staff in the workplace, please don't think they're going to have an easy transition to Benefit Street, because they're not. They need your help. They are still able to work. ME/C.F.S does not affect intelligence. It just means they need more time, rest breaks, and they might need to reduce their hours. But as we've seen during the pandemic, a lot of people have dropped the number of hours that they're working, or because they just want a better work-life balance, not because of ill health, or they might prefer to work at home. There's evidence there, there's research there to show that a lot of people are more productive when they are managing their own time. Same goes with C.F.S. in terms of studying and work. One thing I'll pick up on, Physios for ME yesterday said, many physios are not aware of severe ME. And if physios aren't aware, neither will lots of other healthcare professionals. Because the people that are physically able to come into a physio appointment will have mild to moderate symptoms, because severe patients are usually house or bedbound. And to be perfectly frank, a lot of physios would try and increase a patient's activity if they do not understand post-exertional malaise. So a severe patient wouldn't risk that. Why would you? If you know it's going to make you deteriorate even further, why would you go to a healthcare appointment, or rather do as much as you possibly could to get to a healthcare appointment? So rest even more than usual for a week, and then know that that one appointment could set you back for 3 or 4 weeks. You just wouldn't. So you need to learn about the severe end to understand why people to be clear, even mild ME/CFS is life-changing. About 50% functionality is lost. I've got mild ME. I can only physically work around 20 hours a week, have no social life, very limited independence because I live with my parents. It's a life changer. Yeah, so even the mild end is really horrible disease to have. Once you get to the severe end, it's existing, not living. So we do cover severe ME in our training, but in the training we make it clear you will not see these people within your working environment, but you need to be aware that that is the same disease that the person in front of you has, and they need your help to limit their chances of getting to that stage. Because when patients are left to their own devices, when they're off sick, they are able to listen to their body, do what their body is telling them to do, to step back, to rest, to rehydrate, take electrolytes, whatever. When they're in a working environment, they're fitting in with your schedule. They need you to understand that your schedule does not fit with their fluctuations. And I know that with business, it's about money. How much money can we save? You know, I own a business. But as I've said, if you support a patient within the workplace, you can reduce your costs because you won't have to recruit, advertise for a job, retrain, etc., etc. There are benefits for you as well as the patient community. So please do read the blog that I posted last week. I think I reposted it yesterday, and there's also a couple of social media posts. Please do take an interest, because it's exactly the same disease, ME/CFS, and yet it's a spectrum. So what severe ME doesn't look the same as ME/CFS, but it is the same disease, and all patients can deteriorate. All it would take is an additional infection, massive stress, bereavement, something that makes the body react, fight or flight, could cause a significant deterioration. So help patients manage their symptoms by learning about the disease and making their life within your working environment easier, because there's benefits on both sides. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it's not chucking it down where you are as much as it is here, because we've got torrential rain. Enjoy your Monday, and I'll chat again soon.